So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiance Okay. I'm Mr. O, and today, Ms. H and I will be discussing Season 6, Episode 11 of Happily Ever After. In this episode, Asuelu wants to up the family car capacity to make room for all the kids he wants. Mike almost steals Natalie's truck. Angela doesn't get the apology she wants from Michael. Tiffany, Ronald, and the kids go Christmas shopping. Brandon and Julia take their first steps to freedom from the farm. Andrei tries to park the RV in D.C. And Jovi comes home to a version of The Wood. As always, we'll end with our class dances, students of the week, and life lessons. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe. And if you also watch Love After Lockup, please listen to our other podcast, Love After Lockup, Okay. All right, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well from the West Coast.
And I was going to say, and I should know you're sitting right in front of me. You are doing well. Yeah, so, it's good to have you over here in sunny Southern California. Well, I guess technically it's sunny everywhere right now. So.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. Unfortunately, more for some people than others.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just jump right in. I'm going to start with Brandon and Julia because we didn't really see all much of them.
Okay.
So we open with them with some big news. Brandon and Julia have already signed a lease on a Richmond apartment, but they haven't broken the news to Brandon's folks. That's because every time they had mentioned moving out again, it always turns into a big fight. They know that it'll happen again, so they're having Ron and Betty come to check out the place, and then they're going to drop the news on them while they're there. Ronnie and Betty, of course, have a lot of criticism of the place before they know they're going to move in. The view is bad, the kitchen and living room are one room, and the bedroom is tiny. But then Brandon gives them the news. Ron thinks that it's a bad decision, and evidence that Brandon is being manipulated by Julia. So instead of getting angry this time, they just lay on a guilt trip. Julia, however, is thankful. She's thankful that his parents were so generous with their house space, but she's ready to move on and do a more typical American relationship. So I don't know. All right. So what did you think of the apartment?
I thought it was fine. I mean, it's your first apartment. I mean,
Yes.
They keep on saying it's not technically his first apartment. For being a first apartment, it's fine. It's functional. It wasn't moldy or disgusting or decrepit or run down. Like, that's fine. Yeah,
it totally fit the vibe of I feel like a lot of people when they're that age, he's a little bit older. I feel like a lot of people when they're the first move-in girlfriend or whatever, it's like that tends to be that kind of apartment, that one bedroom, kind of small, kind of maybe not windows that open all the way, but whatever. It's not your parents' house anymore.
Yeah. I love how they're like, oh, it's going to be a lot of money. It's like, yeah, anything's a lot of money if you're not paying anything in the first place.
If you're used to free. And it's not 10 acres. Come on. Oh.
Yeah, well, it's they don't want 10 acres, especially if you're
if you're in the 10 acres. We need more room than 10 acres. Well, because it was 10 acres, fine, but that's counting outside. That's not what you do when you count a place to live. It's not like my house is 10 acres big because I have a huge empty field in the back of it.
I don't understand why Ron thinks that Julia's manipulating him just because Brandon doesn't tell them things. I think they've kind of brought that on themselves.
Right, because every time he mentions it, he just flips out on him. And it's like, well, guess what? You're going to get told. Now, I do think that's kind of not ideal that he doesn't tell them things. But also, I keep forgetting that this guy's 26, 27 years old, right? He's not in college. It's not like a thing. If I was to move to a new place, I would definitely do it and then tell my parents, oh, hey, I got a new place. It's not like I would be like, well, let me check with my dad and see if this is a thing. So I kind of see both sides of it. It's because Brandon's never asserted himself before. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, well, I must be this woman who's manipulating him.
Yeah. I don't feel bad. I know they were putting kind of on the guilt trip on the kids, if you will.
Right.
About well, who's going to help us out at the farm? It's like, you've had a freaking year to find someone. I don't feel bad for you all at all. Because it's to me, the fact that they haven't found someone means that they weren't really looking because they didn't really think that they were going to move. And that's not on Brandon and Julia. That's on Ron and Betty at that point.
It's like, yes, if you were more or less paying your rent with the farm work, then okay. Like, sorry that you didn't have a different plan when this was going to leave. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But it's just, I guess the frustrating part about this is like episode 11 of this show.
Yeah.
Like, didn't we say they should just get an apartment in Richmond, like, on the first episode? Like, it just feels like this takes so long for something, I mean, at the end of the day, pretty minor to happen. Like, I got a new place. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to a couple. Oh gosh,
I know they're all rough, right?
Yeah. Let's move on to Angela and Michael. So Michael has been blowing up Skyla's phone because Angela just won't respond to any of his calls. Angela thinks that this is what he should have done before they broke up, meaning try to contact her and really be persistent. Angela has changed her mind from divorce because she claims lawyer Lou, talked her out of it. Pretty sure we were there for that. I don't think that's what he was trying to say.
Because he gave legal advice and she was like, well, he decided we just care about each other so much.
Yeah. So Angela decides to light up a cigarette and call Michael and tells him just to stop calling Skyla. Michael says he had no choice since Angela's blocked him on everything, which scared him about their marriage. Angela screams that she is American and in the land of the free, so he just can't treat her like that. Angela tells Michael that if her daddy was still alive, he would beat his ass, which makes Michael laugh hysterically. Angela tells him she went to see Lou about a divorce, which shuts Michael up pretty fast. Angela says that maybe she should find another man because she's just taking care of herself anyway. Michael starts to do the slow clap and says, clap for yourself, which pisses off Angela even more, so she just hangs up on him. Angela tells the producers that she wished Michael would have just said he was sorry. Angela thinks she's done now. All right, do you think it would have made a difference if Michael told Angela he was sorry after disrespecting Angela's dad?
No, she wanted the apology before that.
Sure.
Like, she was giving him a chance by calling him to just, all right, here's your chance, kiss my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that's what she was doing. It's like, and I think that's what a lot of people do when they call just to yell at someone, right?
Yeah.
Are you really just calling just to yell at someone? No, you're kind of hoping that person will turn around and kiss your ass and be like, beg forgiveness. And when they don't, that just makes you even more mad, which is why the yelling happens.
Which is why she kind of half expected it, because if he's contacting Skyla, well, he's trying to get back in touch with me like really hard, and he knows what I want. Mm-hmm. And so it was her assumption that he was just going to be kissing her ass. I'm so sorry. I can't believe it. I want you back, baby. Like all that stuff, which is what she was hoping for. And no, it's funny. I mean, it is very notable that Michael's literally just being like, he doesn't even care about the fight, I don't think. I think he's just like, you know what? One time I'm going to stand my ground and see how it goes. Yeah,
I think so too. But at the same time, it was really disrespectful, like the little things he was doing, like the laughing hysterically, like the slow clap. It was just like, talk about going completely the opposite direction. I definitely think you're right in that he is standing his ground, but I think there's more respectful ways to stand up for yourself than mocking the other person.
Well, do you know who would have done a slow clap and laughed at something you said? Angela.
Yeah. So she's definitely getting hurt.
Yeah. So she just definitely is like, I can't like maintain that somebody treating me the way that I treat other people. That's
right.
Especially be like, and that I'm American. Like,
okay. Why did she bring that up? It's like she's trying to rub it in his face. Like, I'm American, you're not. That's why you're with me.
No, I think it's I can't tell because we're gonna get to this spoiler later. But I think it's just like she's just like I don't know if that's I deserve. I think she's trying to make. If I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, it's a cultural argument. No, in American culture, we don't do this shit. So I'm not going to take it. Right. But that's not how it comes off.
No, it definitely doesn't. And like, okay, fine, you're saying you're American, but what does the land of the free have to do with cultural differences?
Yeah, that one didn't make much sense at all.
No, especially when she yells, "Land of the free!" It's like,
Yeah,
oh
it
my
didn't
gosh,
make
Angela,
no
it's
sense
crazy.
at all. Yeah, but it just, I mean, at the end, she hung up on him and just made pretty clear, like, all I wanted from him was to him to give in.
Yeah.
And like, they go to Michael and he was like, I just always give in. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I don't know. I don't see how it can work. But it's like, man, you'd think Michael would have figured this out by now. Like, why hang on for so long just to do it now? Like, this is exactly what everybody's been saying about her the whole time.
Yeah.
All right. So going on to other people who just keep having the same argument, Libby and Andrei. All right. So the RV trip continues and everyone seems pretty miserable when they get to DC. Now, they try to take the RV to the Airbnb, which apparently is like a DC row house, which has the tiny little one-way streets.
Yeah.
And it's not working. There's not parking for it. They can barely get down the street to get in front of it or whatever. So everyone's yelling about it. Andrei's yelling about it. Everybody's yelling from the backseat drivers. It's really rough. So instead of just like getting somebody to the Airbnb or finding some way to make that work, they just give up and they book hotel rooms way the hell out in Waldorf. And they have to drive all the way out there after it's clearly already dark. So Libby defends, her getting the Airbnb. She was the one who made the booking and claims that she checked to see if the RV would fit. And she walks away in a huff at the hotel when Andrei starts yelling about it and then also ranting about the women's work as he drops suitcases.
God.
So anyway, the next morning, Libby and her sisters are, kind of debriefing each other on the previous night. But once everyone gets in the RV, they go to Aunt Sue's house for a welcome dinner for all the Florida people. Charlie and his wife had gotten there the night before, and they're there waiting. Aunt Suze is already pretty leery of Andrei's motives regarding money. Suze makes the mistake of asking about how business is going, and so now it's time to have the same fight we've been having all season. Charlie also very ready to start some shit and tells her about the loan, about everything, the loan that Andrei had asked for. So Pappy and Suze, they jump in and they're on Team Charlie and with the kids. They think Andrei should have brought more to the table and started from the bottom. Anyway, Charlie just keeps continuing the airing of the grievances here until it quickly devolves into just a dumb shouting match. Okay, so, I'm from the DC area. You lived in DC for a little bit. So how would you have dealt with this DC RV situation?
I wouldn't have, but I mean, okay, but that's because we have knowledge of the streets of DC, right?
Yeah, well, right.
Yeah, like you all know that, like, okay, yeah, a bus can fit because obviously,
I know buses can fit.
Yes, there's tour buses all around DC, but going down these little streets and things like that, that's not working. And what? Was it Becky's husband that was trying to support Andrei? Like he was looking out the window like, dude, look at how close you are to these cars. Like this is not working. And I don't know why the family continued saying, no, it'll be fine. It's like, you can look out your window and see that these
guys... Just keep going.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the family Libby, though. Just keep going. Don't worry about anybody else. Go.
Oh my gosh, because I told you to.
Yeah, because I've definitely... Because I know buses can fit, but I also know that I've had to get off of buses and do no, you're good. You're good. No,
but not
this
driving down a street,
no, I get
right?
out.
Usually that's like the parking situation, right? They weren't even at the part where they were parking.
Oh no.
Anything.
I've got to do a lot of field trips in DC, and sometimes they get lost and end up on streets where there's like, okay, let me get out. So it's tough, but also, if the Airbnb, what I didn't understand is why the Airbnb guy was not contacted at all.
Yeah, right. Like is there another way to get to your
they're
place?
Like, there's no place in DC to park an RV. Overnight, yes. Is there a McDonald's parking lot you can pull aside and get into? Also, yes. Like it might not be right next to the Airbnb, but enough that you can get there, call the Airbnb guy and be like, yo, dude, we told you we had an RV. Yeah. Where are we putting it?
Right.
Before driving all the way to Waldorf, and I don't know, again, people unfamiliar with DC, Waldorf is literally like the thing people joke about it being so far away that doesn't even exist. Like it's like they keep talking about Waldorf is so far away from DC. Like if they were where I thought they were in DC, like north of the Capitol building.
Yeah.
They were being generous by saying Waldorf was 45 or an hour away. It's probably closer to 2 hours away.
Oh my goodness. I've never even heard of Waldorf. And I lived there.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's like you got to go around Branch Avenue and then go out, pad through PG. It's forever away. It's just like, oh my God, are we in Waldorf yet? Good. Oh, like it's a running joke about how that is.
Yeah.
But then we get to the house.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
I hate this family. You
All
know?
of them.
Yes, they're all so terrible. It's like you're in an aunt's house, right? Extended family. She don't know your shit yet, apparently. Like, oh yeah, give her 10 minutes in the house with y'all. Now she knows your shit.
But that's because who got there first?
Oh, Charlie.
Who was there before anybody heard anybody get talked was Charlie saying like, this asshole just coming in and trying to run the company. And like, they think he has some sort of like weird mental hold, like he's brainwashed Chuck into thinking like things. That's the part to me that if I was Chuck, I would feel most insulted by. Like, you guys just think, what? Like, you guys think I'm just going to let this guy come in and take over everything from you?
Yeah.
Like, how little do you think of me?
Yeah, I just, and it's the same freaking argument. It's just a different context.
Yes.
It was on the boat, in Jen's house. Now it's in the aunt's house. It's like, it's the same stupid argument. Can we stop having this argument already?
Right. It is. It's like, yeah, I just want to move this story forward here.
Right. Okay, let's talk Tiffany and Ronald. So Ronald is taking the family to get a Christmas tree and Christmas decorations, and Daniel gets really excited. Daniel thinks that means that they'll be spending Christmas there, and Tiffany is pissed that Ronald is being manipulative, trying to bribe them to stay. Tiffany tries to set some ground rules and reminds him to stick to a budget. Daniel wonders if they're really going to buy all of this. Tiffany is trying to stick to the budget, which leads to bickering between her and Ronald tries to drag Daniel into this argument and asks him to choose which one he wants, and Daniel chooses the more expensive tree. They spend about $700 on Christmas decorations, and Ronald just throws down the credit card. Tiffany fears that Ronald is not making good financial decisions, which will somehow tie into his gambling problem. Another day, another stupid t-shirt from Ronald. And they're meeting up with Ronald's mom, Rhea, to see rescue elephants. Daniel is excited to feed the elephants, and Tiffany is really enjoying the experience. Ronald is proud to share his home and what they have to offer with his family. Rhea and Tiffany have a sit-down where Tiffany expresses concern about Ronald's spending habits and not taking care of Carly. Tiffany admits that Ronald has turned into super dad when hanging out with Rhea. Rhea and Tiffany are both crying over the situation. Rhea says that maybe Tiffany had very high expectations and maybe that's just not fair. Rhea offers to take the kids for the night so Tiffany and Ronald can have a date night. Ronald is confused and feels that his mom is now somehow involved in their marriage. He asks what they talked about and tells Tiffany he feels like she's always talking shit about him. Tiffany and Ronald later go out to a restaurant and Tiffany is excited to have a drink. But they start immediately bickering at dinner. Ugh. Tiffany says he needs to put in more effort, and Ronald comments on her complaints. So they're just like sniping at each other the whole time. Ronald thinks the day is going well, so she should just enjoy it. They continue to fight, and Tiffany claims that, she is really the man of the house. And if Ronald wants her to talk to him, then he needs to be open. Ronald gets up and leaves the dinner and, as Tiffany says, ruins her night. All right, so let's kind of start maybe from the beginning of all their stuff.
Okay.
And I know what you're going to say about this. Like, why are you leaving financial decisions to the kid?
Yes.
I knew you'd have thoughts about
terrible.
that.
Like, it's not just that it's a financial decision. It's that you're asking the kid to be the arbiter of the argument between you and your wife.
Yes.
Which is just about the worst thing you can do in any argument. Right? Because when things don't work out, right? Let's say things don't work out and it comes up in a fight. She's like, you always spend too much money. Well, who actually decided to spend the money?
Yeah.
Right? Whose final, quote unquote, final decision was it? Daniel. So you're going to make the kid feel like if I would have made different decisions, if I would have come down to different places, they might still be together. Right? And so it's just, it's terrible. Like, I mean, it's okay to fight in front of kids, you can see how to resolve conflict. It's not okay to have the kids resolve the conflict. And like, I don't know what I make of Tiffany's interpretation of it either, because she just seems determined to give the least generous interpretation of everything Ronald does.
Yeah.
Is Ronald trying to make the house more livable and more exciting for the holidays for his son? Maybe, but does she say that? Or is it he's manipulating him to make him think he's going to stay here for Christmas and trick him into wanting to be here so that he can use it against me, right? It's and I don't know which one it actually is, but she never goes with a more generous one. Everything he does, he could do almost anything, and she'd be like, I think he's just trying to trick me. He was a great parent when his mom was around. Did she say, oh, wow, let's keep this up? Or did she say, oh, this has to be some suspicious thing where he's just trying to look good in front of his mom?
Yeah, well, that's not wrong, but at the same time, we have seen Ronald use Daniel to try get what he wants.
Sure.
And so Tiffany must know that, right? So before the season, he tells Daniel, oh, tell your mommy every day that you want to come visit me, you know, and try get her on board so that way you can come see me. And so it's like for Ronald to have a history of doing that, then yeah, I mean, I can see where Tiffany's coming from because that is what he's doing. He's trying to manipulate the situation. Now, I get that she should probably give him the benefit of the doubt every once in a while, but this is like a very bizarre situation. They've already fought about money having to do with the grocery store Poloni incident, and now you got him trying to spend $700 on Christmas just to keep them there. And also what doesn't make sense to me is he could have probably had more time with them if he hadn't, if he had just paid the portion of the tickets from way before,
right?
And then it wouldn't have run into Christmas, and then this wouldn't be an issue.
Right. I know it's just there's a line between is it just because it makes sense to me, and I wouldn't say it would be underhanded to be like I want my son to really like it here so that he'll want to stay.
Yeah.
Right. That's not underhanded. To do like, I want my son to really like it here because I want him to make the assumption that he'll be here through Christmas and that will make them stay longer because she'll feel bad if he makes them leave is another one. But yeah, it's like he's spending money that everybody knows he doesn't have.
Right. And I think that's Tiffany's point is it's one thing to make your house feel, as he puts it, homely for Christmas. Homely house. That's one thing, right? Get a tree, sure. Get some Christmas decorations. Make it feel festive in there, right? Mm-hmm. But Ronald is really going all out. And I think that's the part where it kind of seems more like a bribe because you're trying to, you know, wow him with money and like expensive things to get him to stay. When really, at the end of the day, like, you know, it should just be about, like, I want to make this place feel welcoming and that, like, we're spending the holidays here and you don't need all this extra stuff.
Well, I mean, part of it is the extra money. Like, I also feel like with the trees and stuff, I have my dad way of, you know, my own kind of manipulation where I'm like, that tree, oh man, that one, it's super big. It's really tacky. It wouldn't look good in our house. Like it would take up all the space. We don't really want that tree. Like we want this one. It would be much better for what we have. Like I could totally sell them on the cheaper tree like, oh no, that big one is lame. Totally bad. But he doesn't do that because he goes in for I'm going to think of a bigger thing. But like, I also understood kind of for the first time more where he was coming from at the dinner, right? Because that's when he said something about her always complaining, right? But he didn't say it when she was complaining about him. He said it when she sent the drink back. Yeah. And he was like, oh, so it's literally everything. So everything anybody does for you, you're going to complain and try to send it back.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong, but they don't seem well together, right? Because as much as she complains about him, about the situation, about the food, about the drink, you know, he also contributes his fair share to the fights and the bickering as well. Sure. Like he just gets like defensive and, you know, just saying things that are just like, oh my gosh. I agree that she has this thing just in general where she feels like she needs to hide everything from him. You know, like even the divorce and the visa thing. She's like, well, I don't want to tell him what happens if, you know, we don't get the visa. Like, I don't want to have to worry about that because I'm afraid of what he's, you know, she's afraid of what he's going to say. And so I think like the complaining is her like kind of weird, indirect way of addressing the problem without addressing it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest issue for me is she doesn't address the problem, and then also kind of like acts like she did address the problem, and he was supposed to know exactly what she was talking about when she did that, you know, and then that kind of culminated in that weird thing where she's like, I am the man of the house. Yeah. Which is weird. I still am always stuck on why people need there to be somebody who is in charge. And that's Ronald too. Like Ronald definitely always wants to be, I'm the man of the house. And I mean, it was kind of a comeback for it, but yeah, I mean, and it's just like, because so much of what she says is like, I just want you to do more or try. And he's supposed to know what that means. Because the only way he knows how to do it, it looks like, is by spending money. And he thinks that's going to be it.
Well, I think that's part of the problem just in general with his idea of what a household should look like.
Sure.
The man of the house is the person who controls the money and has the money to control. Right? And so he thinks that he has more leverage in South Africa, like having money, being able to show the family he has money and things like that. So that's why he does things like, you know, trying to buy these Christmas decorations. He's like, I'm the man of the house. I bought these things, you know, and Tiffany's kind of like, no, I'm the man of the house because I'm the one who really has the money. I'm the one who bailed you out when you couldn't buy groceries. I'm the man of the house. So I think like this whole idea that the person with the power is the person with the money is what is contributing to these very antiquated ideas that aren't really functional for what their situation is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because he's not, because even if they did get him to the US, he would not be able to work.
Yeah. Right.
For a little while. Right. Yeah. So but he's not going to let that. He just has a mental block where he's not going to be like, well, the roles have to change. Even if she makes all the money, he's going to be like, but I'm the man and I make the decisions about the money.
I know. What is it with him and Andrei? Like both of them, like women's jobs, men's jobs. It's just like, why?
Yeah. I don't, it doesn't make any sense.
Is this something that is like specifically penis related? Then, you know, like I don't understand why this is just a man's job.
Do you have to stand up to pee for this job? Because otherwise... I don't see why this is a man's job. Now, there's certain things where like, oh, this would be easier for someone who has more upper body strength. Sure. I guess. But like, that doesn't seem like that there's not that many of those jobs that needs to be anybody's household role. It's like you can pick up the Instant Pot and put it on top of the refrigerator. Like, okay.
Goodness. Yeah, it just, I think it's, and these are both our foreigners too, like Andrei and Ronald. Sure. And I just think that, you know, we're trying to be a little bit more progressive in America that way. And so to Angela's point, you know, there's, you know, a movement toward being progressive and having equal and like not really gendered roles. Sure. And, you know, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with gendered roles in the household if everybody's on the same page. And that's not what's happening here.
No. I mean, it's definitely I don't know. They both seem very, very afraid of being emasculated. And they just totally feel emasculated if they're either A, doing women's work, or B, if the women are doing what's supposed to be their work.
Right. Okay. So their explanation of sex with Daniel.
They said squishy, which is.
I have no idea what that means.
I don't know either, but
doesn't sound
that is not clean. A word I ever really want to be associated with sex that much.
When I think of squishy, I think of poos.
Like belly, No,
from Simpsons. A poo. His squishies. You know the Slurpees.
Oh, the Slurpees.
Knockoffs.
The Slurpees. See, I thought of like from Finding Nemo.
Oh yeah, you will be my squishy.
But then she changed it from squishy to special kiss.
Yeah,
it's like that's. I mean,
it's actually a nice vague way to put it. I think that was like pretty.
That isn't bad considering how old is he? He's like 11?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's doing sex ed in school like next year. They'll figure it out.
Yeah. So, and because I think part of it is that when it's like blatantly a lie, Like
Yes.
if you're saying
The
like, oh, the stork
storks and
dropped
things,
you off
yes.
at the door. Like that's ridiculous. I think if it's a vague, like not a complete truth, but I'm just not telling you the whole story, I think that's better
Right.
because then when they do
Yeah.
learn the truth, it's like, okay.
There's some more
I was
that goes.
never lied to.
There's some more that goes
Right.
on beyond kissing, but
Yes, right.
we'll talk about that later, like kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So that brings me to let's go Jovi and Yara. So today is the day that Jovi is finally getting home after his 3 months at work. They talk about how much Mila has grown since he left. This is on the way to the airport to pick him up with Gwen and Monty. Monty, who's his stepdad, talks about how hard this type of schedule can be on everybody since he works a similar job. They pick Jovi up at the airport, and then, Jovi and Yara sneak their masks down a little quickly for a kiss while Jovi takes Mila, who finally isn't crying when Jovi holds her. Yara has kept all the details about the new apartment she moved into secret, so he doesn't know what to expect at all. So back in the truck, Jovi is getting excited about taking warm showers and sleeping in soft beds. And he keeps mentioning how much he missed Mila and also keep forgetting to mention that he also misses his wife. So Jovi is worried that the new place is going to be boring. So Gwen and Yara both warn him that, yeah, it's going to be boring. But he said he really wanted to have some place where he can, hop in an Uber and get to New Orleans. But the first thing he finds out about it is that that is not the case. We heard last time it was like 45 minutes from the city. So when Jovi comes in, he first complains about the couch, and Yara explains that she got rid of the old one because it was full of hoe diseases from all the other strippers and women that he hooked up with. But his real primary concern is that they're in the middle of nowhere, and that's intolerable to him. He just thinks that both of them are going to get really bored very quickly. He's pretty bummed about, how quickly he's had to take on this new role of suburban dad. So how long do you think Jovi is gonna, last out here in the woods?
That's an excellent question. I think he will make it past the pandemic, and when things start opening up, including his bars, he's gonna be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll work it, but I think it's going to be intolerable for Yara. I think he's going to go and take his 45-minute drive into the city and end up crashing at friend's place who still lives in the city.
Yeah, I could see that.
And not being he's gone all weekend doing that.
I don't know if he'd do that all that often because what I thought was really sweet was how genuinely he came off as missing Mila and wanting to be there. Now, it's easy to say that if you've been away from someone for so long.
Right.
And
Yes.
so it's a lot harder to tell if you don't see them day to day, dealing with the baby all day long, 'cause
Yes.
you may want a break.
When the kid's been pooping and screaming and running all over you and crying and you're
exhausting
you know
you.
what, that Saturday going down and crashing at so-and-so's place in the city sounds pretty awesome right now.
Yeah, I can definitely see, that being something. At the same time, maybe his friends are starting to kind of do their own thing because his one friend, Sarah, and I can't remember who she was married to, but his friend, they had the baby and, they were giving him advice on the baby. So
Right.
he wasn't the last one.
And he was the one that dipped out on the bachelor party.
Right.
Before the strip club.
He wasn't the last one of his friends to get married and have a kid, but definitely there was only a couple left.
It's going that way, yeah.
Yeah, he seemed to be one of the holdouts, but
I also do seem I could see him making that adjustment and kind of resetting and being like, oh yeah, that's the guy that's 10 years older than us. It's always around. Whatever.
yeah, I'm gonna hope for the best on this one, but at the same time, knowing his past, it wouldn't surprise me if he fell back into his own ways. But we'll see. Like I said, I hope for the best.
So have you ever gotten rid of a couch because of all the germs that you thought somebody
No,
brought
because
to it?
I don't let that stuff happen. But what I will say is I've had people sleep on my couch before, but I always put down a sheet because it is kind of gross. If someone's sleeping on your couch and you have people frequently sleeping on your couch, it's just like sleeping on a mattress with nothing on it, right? It's just your dead skin cells just sloughing off onto it.
And I think that was part of her concern, but I think the bigger part of her concern is I know you banged a bunch of strippers on this couch and I don't want it in my house.
Yeah, I mean, Couches are one of those weird things, though, because it's like, well, I guess mattresses are like this too, right? What might be comfortable to one person is not so comfortable to another.
Oh, sure, totally.
So,
Yeah.
the fact that Yara was like, I love this couch, and Jovi was just like, ugh, this couch.
Yeah. I mean, mattresses is true too, because I need a pretty firm mattress, and so. Yeah, when I come in and like saying like, oh, my face is covered in like mattress, I'm like, oh no, I don't like it. But that's the way some people go. So
yeah. All right. So I have Mike and Natalie. So it's the day of Natalie's surgery and drama.
Always.
Yeah, she's getting her polyps removed from her nose. They were staying at the hotel the night before. Because the plan was they were going to stay there overnight because they were closer to the hospital, and then Mike was going to drive her. But they got into an argument about what went down in Oklahoma, which God knows how long ago that was.
Keep having the same argument. It's a pattern.
Gosh. So Natalie just pieced out and went to Juliana's and left Mike stranded at the hotel and basically ghosted him. He goes to the hospital. He gets a ride to the hospital and just waits in the parking lot for Natalie to arrive, even though he doesn't know what time her surgery is. She is still rejecting his calls, so he decides to drive around with production trying to find his truck. They finally find Big Blue, so Mike assumes that Natalie is at the hospital, and it makes him feel unwanted. So he gets frustrated and mad and gets in the truck with his spare keys and decides he's going to leave her stranded. After driving for a little bit, I'm assuming to go home, he realizes that stranding her isn't going to fix anything. So he heads back to the hospital. He gets a call from a nurse saying that Natalie is almost ready to be released. An hour later, Mike is escorting Natalie to the truck. The surgery is a success, and Natalie says that she can finally smell again. Mike is bringing up what happened isn't going to bring up what happened that morning since she just got out of surgery and they make it back home. He's trying to make everything comfortable for her. And then that's when Natalie starts to order him around. Mike is irritated and feels like he keeps trying, but Natalie only wants help in a very specific way. Natalie says that their relationship is complicated because there is love there, but she recognizes that there's no understanding. All right. Do you agree with Natalie's assessment that there's love but no understanding in their relationship?
I definitely agree with the no understanding part.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think she might be trying to fool. I think there once was love. Mm-hmm. And maybe there's some sort of something there that, is a remnant of that they keep holding on to. But I don't even know that. I wouldn't look at the way they treat each other and say they love each other.
Yeah, Mike did a little bit better when
that's true.
She was sick, right? But that, to me, it's kind of like, whatever, that's fake. That's like my bad students, and I come to school and it's obvious that I'm not feeling well. They're angels. And you're just like, why? Why are you like this? Not like this all the time, only when you think I'm sick.
That's like a pity,
really
the
nice.
pity thing. Yeah. I pity you.
So it's definitely something like that where it's just like, oh, Natalie's clearly vulnerable and in pain. Right. I'm going to be nice now.
Right. Which is, but it was funny though, because he even complained about that, right?
Yeah.
Because he even complained about, I want her help. And then the words he said were, she only wants help when it's convenient for her. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how help works.
Yeah.
Like, nobody asks for help when it's inconvenient for the person asking for help. Right. That's not what help is.
Yeah, that is very true. Because then why would you even ask for help?
Exactly.
Yeah. So she was being accused generally on social media of getting this nose job. Like it wasn't really a nose job, that they thought it was like cosmetic.
Oh, I based on what we saw.
No. Because I'm going to say her nose looked the same.
Well, right. I've never seen somebody get a nose job where like they only had like a little bandage on the bottom of their nose. It's usually their whole face that's almost covered. Yes.
Because if you're getting a nose job for real, like a reconstruction nose job,
right.
and even some of the deviated septum
yeah, sure. Yeah.
They like break
gotta break
your nose.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have anything of that. So... yeah. Natalie still looks like Natalie.
Yep, she sure does. And I feel like that's also another one, like people would have known because she would have had a different nose in her, like, weird social media stuff that she's always putting up.
Yeah, I think people just assumed because it definitely looks like she's not afraid to have work done.
Sure.
Because she does look different, very different than like, let's say her first wedding photos that that are floating around out there.
Yeah. So what was going on with the truck? I mean, that was Natalie's truck, right? Big Blue was Natalie's, but it seemed like they just took one truck to Seattle.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't ever seen Mike with another. I haven't ever seen another car. It seems like they both kind of share the truck.
No, I think there's two trucks. They're very similar, but one's like navy blue and one's like a brighter blue.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that, yes, I kind of see it as Natalie's truck because wasn't he just in the last episode trying to show her how to maintain it?
Oh, yeah, he was changing the wipers and checking the fluids and stuff. Right.
Like that. So, yeah, I kind of think of it as that too. And so definitely Mike was being spiteful and vengeful when he decided, well, I'm going to strand her at the hospital and see how she feels.
And it took me a little while to realize that. I was like, did he just steal her truck? Because that seems like she just stole her truck. But then it was like the only truck that they had there. Yeah. So it's not like he brought his truck. It was like, no, I'm going to take her truck and just drive it away so she can't get to it.
No, he just wanted to go home. And he was just like, well, this is like, and I think this is sad because, like you said, if it is her truck, but he's probably thinking like, well, I paid for this truck.
I'm sure.
My name is probably the only name on the title because who's going to go through the process of changing ownership of a title when it's like your partner,
Yeah.
It's like,
definitely.
Why would you do that? So he's probably like, well, I can't legally get in trouble. This is legally mine.
My
I'll just
truck.
take it and drive home.
Yeah. Yeah. So at least he didn't stick with that.
I know. Because when he did that, I was like, no, he did not.
Oh my God. Because I don't even know, but I don't know what her plan was. Like whatever surgery she had, major, minor, whatever, she was definitely under and wasn't going to be able to drive when she got out of surgery.
Well, maybe she thought she could, because I'll have to say from my experience when I had my tonsils out, like they had told me before, like I was not allowed to drive home by myself. So I had to have my sister drive me there. She picked me up, drove me home. They were telling me that I needed someone to be with me for a good, I don't remember how long they said, 10 hours or something after. Yeah. Because they were, and I get it that other people have different reactions to anesthesia. So they were kind of saying, well, you might not be even able to make it to the bathroom by yourself. I had my tonsils out. It has nothing to do with my,
there's no abdominal things going on. Yeah.
Right. To the bathroom. But they were saying you might need someone to help you because you might not be able to get there by yourself. Honestly, I got out of surgery. They woke me up. I probably was I felt tired. Took me about 15 minutes. Then I was absolutely fine. I could have drove myself home.
Oh, see?
I was walking around doing all these active things at my house, when I got back from the hospital. So I think maybe she just thought maybe I'll be fine.
I don't know. But it's definitely one of those things. I'm not sure how self-aware people are because I've only been out once. It was never anesthesia. It was just a sedative. And that was to get my wisdom teeth out when I was 16. And I couldn't pick my head.
They put me under for that.
They did, but it was this. It was not anesthesia. It was not anesthesia with the breathing. It was like that. But when
Mr. O was pointing to his hand like a needle.
A needle in the hand, yes. But no, when I woke up, I couldn't pick my head up for an hour. And so like that. And I've had other people that I've picked up from surgery, probably more major surgery. They're probably up under for longer than she was. But it's it's not that they are unaware. They just can't stay awake. They keep falling back asleep is the biggest thing. But she seemed pretty loopy even later, more so than usual.
Well, her demands were kind of interesting. She was very specific. She kept on saying, boiled potatoes.
Boiled potatoes.
Boiled potatoes.
Keep the skins on.
And then she was adding all these weird things like pickles and Parmesan cheese. And I forgot what else. Yeah, mushrooms. And it's just this is the oddest plate of food. Those things don't go together. All right. I thought they didn't go together. Potatoes and pickles? And cheese?
No, and they were like gherkins too. They were
they were.
Oh man. So speaking of other goofy people, Asuelu.
Oh gosh.
So anyway, the romantic getaway with Kalani and Asuelu was a success, and things are going well so far. But now it's time to get Asuelu out of the house. And for that, they're gonna need a car, specifically because he was working as a rideshare driver. So they go to the used car lot, and he's scoping out the Corvettes while Kalani is focusing on the fuel-efficient hybrids. They start to bicker about whether he should get a big minivan or a small fuel-efficient car. The car dealer suggests that if he's ride-sharing, he should probably focus on the fuel economy. But Asuelu just says that they have both decided that they're going to get a minivan.
God.
Because, they're going to have another baby soon. They're going to need those seats. So this new baby is news to Kalani. And so now the conversation shifts to this in front of the poor car dealer. So Kalani was excited to be done breastfeeding. So she doesn't really like this plan at all. She asks Asuelu, in a perfect world, how many kids would he have? She's like, if my opinion didn't matter. And he says 7.
Oh my gosh.
Back at the house, Asuelu is showing the kids a Samoan dance with his mom on a video call. He wants the boys to understand Samoan culture. And we also get reminded about the whole issue last year where, his mom asked for all the money and then Kalani almost fought his sister Tammy. Asuelu says that their relationship is complicated due to all of that. But Tammy and Mom now live in Salt Lake, which is much closer and much easier than Washington State, but they still haven't seen each other yet. In fact, they haven't talked to Tammy since the tell-all. When Mom hears about the fight about having more kids, he should do things the Samoan way. Before they hang up, though, she invites herself to come see the grandkids before she goes back to Samoa. Asuelu agrees, but he really doesn't want to see Tammy because he's just going to fight with Kalani and create more drama. But there's no other way for Mom to get there, so eventually they come to the conclusion that, all right, Asuelu will pay for a hotel room nearby, and that way they can visit. So I was a little confused at this point because she just said the Samoan way. What did she mean specifically by the Samoan way?
Lots of babies.
Just
way?
Lots of babies?
A lot of procreation is
right?
what I'm thinking.
Well, because I was actually, the part I was a little confused about is because, yes, it seemed like a lot of babies, but it also seemed like he was like, well, I want to have a lot of babies. And she's like, well, yeah, sure. That's not your problem. Go ahead. Like, she should take, the Samoan way is she'll take care of whatever babies you want to pop in there.
Right. I think also I would think that the Samoan way is just pro-family. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think pro-family means pro-supporting the elderly.
Right, sure.
It means, creating a mess of kids of your own. It means family first. So, and I know a lot of people kind of interpret this with women specifically now, like modern women, is they think that women are choosing not to have kids because they're trying to put their careers first.
Sure.
Right. So having this idea that Kalani's not having children because she's trying to do other things, I think maybe is like not against, or it goes against the Samoan way, which is like prioritize family. Right. So popping out as many kids as you can.
Right. Well, it also seems, at least my understanding is, as much sociology as I have background, is that like as societies kind of develop and industrialize, the number of children tends to go down. Yeah. And this kind of hits with what Asuelu was saying about, in Samoa, we have all these families because one of them's got to do the fishing and another one's got to do the riding, right. Another one's got to do a job, and another one's because they all have to work together and chip in to support the family. And that's what it always was, is like in, agrarian societies, you had a bunch of kids because you couldn't pay farmhands. So have a kid and there you go. There's one for free. Whereas in our society and in industrialized societies, it's like, well, each kid actually is more expensive.
Right. It's another mouth to feed.
Yeah. It's not like we'll save money on labor because my children will be out here. Yeah. It's like, oh no, we have to pay for
childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a different way of thinking about it.
Yeah. His conversation with his mom was really interesting because his mom in general is really funny to me. Yeah. She acts like she's dying.
Oh, yeah. She definitely lays on the guilt of your poor mother who's going to Samoa, never will see her son again.
Yeah, and, I'm old. And just this might be the last time you get to see me. It's like, you're still mobile. Right. Mom isn't hobbling around. She's not, in any, maybe she can't drive. That's why Tammy has to drive her around. And I love how she hasn't even consulted with Tammy and already decided, Tammy's going to drive me. Yeah. I don't care how she feels about you.
Right. But I
don't care how you feel about Tammy.
That's how Tammy was wanting Asuelu last season to be around the mom. Mom asked for something. Why are you not doing it? This is terrible.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's what just the way they run and the way the assumption goes. But I also noticed that Kalani, as soon as she was like, oh, you want to talk to Asuelu? Handed it over the iPad. It was like, I'm out of here.
Later.
Not going to listen to this.
Okay. So why does he want 7 kids specifically? That seemed like a random out of your ass number.
Because there were 8 seats in the minivan.
Oh,
So it's
God.
him and 7 kids.
That makes sense, according to simple-minded Asuelu. Yeah, I can definitely see that. But he barely takes care of the kids he has. Like,
Right, which is why I feel like if you barely take care of the kids you have, then sure, more. Let's bring them on.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
More of them are gonna like do this weird dance on the toy fire engine. Yeah.
So 7 versus like 10. Like, why does that make a difference? Or even 7 versus 5.
Well, I mean, I also think. What did he say? He had 9? He was one of 9?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't that. I thought, a lot of people just go with the default of how many brothers and sisters did I have?
Right.
That's what I want.
I liked that. That family life was good. Let's have as many as we
Yes.
can. Max power. I thought it was funny that he was switching between a minivan and like a Corvette. It's like, those are 2 very different worlds.
Very different things. Yes. Very, very different things. But like, it was so infuriating the way they were literally talking about it. We're having a conversation. They go ask, what are you looking for? He's like, we're not looking at what she said. We are looking at these minivans. We've decided that we are getting minivans. And it's like, ooh. Which is funny because you don't usually see young guys who are
we're like, let's. And
I'm really into getting this minivan.
I was confused why he was so into minivan anyway, because, it's like, I would hope that you would have a new car by the time you hit your 7th kid.
Well, you need a minivan at the 3rd kid. Like,
For the car seats?
For the car seats. Like, maybe not necessarily a minivan, but you need something with a 3rd row of seats. So you either need a minivan or an SUV pretty much when you have your 3rd kid, which I think is terrible but that's the way they build car seats. I don't think there's a sedan on the market that you can put 3 car seats in across the back.
Oh, that's a bummer. But, yeah.
So you don't need it when the 7th kid is what the point is.
Yeah. But still, he was talking about using it for ride sharing. Like,
well, I mean,
would you make that much more by doing like Uber XL?
No, I don't think. I think I would think you'd make less with Uber XL.
Because, I mean, they do charge you more.
They do charge you more, but I don't know if that necessarily translates into you making any more money.
Yeah.
But they also, I would imagine that Uber XL drives are probably shorter.
No, it just kind of seems like Uber XL, it could be anything. Like, what if you had to get your whole family to the airport?
Well, I was thinking about yes, that's what I was thinking. Of course, I think that's your most lucrative Uber drive is to the airport, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like more likely that one person needs a ride to the airport or that 6 people need a ride to the airport.
Well, maybe more because then there's none of them that's eligible to drive anyone, right?
Yeah, if the whole family's going, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it could go either way, but I don't know.
But I could also see that, the gas efficiency is not as ideal. And if you're only making like a couple dollars more, like, is that really going to make
Totally. Uber doesn't care. I really don't think Uber pays you, more if you use a less fuel efficient car, right?
Oh,
if you want to drive somebody in a gas guzzler, they're like, I don't care. You should have used your Prius, man.
I know, right? All right, so that pretty much wraps up. We saw all of our couples.
Everybody was this week, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of everyone. All right, so who was your student of the week since we have so many to choose from this time?
It was, we had so many to choose from.
Yes, but so little to choose from.
But it was really hard.
Yeah.
So I ended up going with Kalani.
Okay.
Because, she made pretty clear in the interviews that she does not like Asuelu's mom. And she does not get along with Asuelu's mom, and she's really not interested in getting along with Asuelu's mom.
Sure.
But we've had other people like that, but they usually will stay there and pick fights and do it. And I thought that's the way to constructively, okay, maybe not constructively, but appropriately deal with someone you don't like.
Yes.
She held up the thing. She was cordial enough when she was there.
Yeah.
When Asuelu was going to talk and she knew it was going to make her mad, she just left the room and just wasn't there. So I'll give her that for at least that.
Yeah, you sold me on it, but I had a different student of the week in mind, and mine is based on progress, I guess, or maybe just it's definitely graded on their own curve.
Right.
I would say it's Mike. This is the kindest we have seen him act towards Natalie. He was genuinely trying to help her when she was, after she got out of surgery. And I think the biggest thing was he even recognized his own shitty behavior and came back to not drive off without her.
Yeah, totally. He was like, well, that would have been a terrible idea. So.
Yeah, and that accomplishes nothing, which I was like, okay, good. You're starting to recognize that, just this retaliation. Yeah, it makes you feel good in the moment, but it's not actually
and it is retaliation. Anything. It didn't make any sense. As teachers and me as a parent, I'm big on natural consequences, right? I don't need to punish you. You didn't turn in your assignment. You don't get your grade.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't be quiet in class, whatever. I can do with that. It doesn't have to be an extra punishment that give people detention or anything like that. And I do the same thing as a parent, right? Sorry, you didn't clean up the bathroom. Now your bathroom's a mess. Things like that, right? But that's not a natural consequence. Whoa, no. You left me at the hotel room. I'll steal your truck. Like that. That's punishment territory.
Right, definitely. All right, who was your dunce?
So we didn't really. I don't know. I think you're going to disagree with this because we didn't really give her a lot of crap. I went with Tiffany. And it's kind of more of a big picture thing. Okay. Right? And it's because she's not interested in giving him any benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. So why is she there? Yeah. Why is she pretending she's trying when she's not? And so to me, it's almost like she's playing this kind of, and Ronald is not great. And I'm not going to sit here and say Ronald's great. Ronald's an asshole. But she wanted to do that and go that just so she could be, I'm the bigger person and I tried. I gave him one last chance, blah, blah, blah. But she's not really giving him a chance. She's kind of already made her decision.
Right. I do think that she is going through the motions of saying that she's doing this because this is something that when her kids are old enough, she's going to want to tell them, hey, listen, I tried. And Daniel's going to be old enough to be like, yeah, mommy did try, but I guess spoiler alert, there's definitely things coming out on social media that indicate that these two are not together right now. They are definitely a mudslinging type of couple.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. And so it's gotten nasty barbs here and there about, the other person and how terrible.
Well, since they've given each other nasty barbs and they're going out on a nice date trying to make squishies.
Oh my God, I know, right? So funny that you should say that Tiffany is your dunce because I had Ronald as my dunce. The things that I, felt problematic is one, why are you trying to impress your mom with childcare? Like all of a sudden you're stepping it up for your mother. That makes no damn sense. Mm-hmm. Your lack of budget when buying these Christmas decorations, dragging your kid into this argument to have them have the final say. And, just the bickering at dinner and you walking off. Mm-hmm. This is actually really quite sad on both their parts. They said that they really haven't had time alone because they're apart. And when they have been together, it's been about the kids. Sure. And so it's you're going to ruin the one night you actually have together. And they say over a year. And it's just what are you doing? For real.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So life lessons. My life lesson is that being an American does not entitle you to any kind of behavior from your partner.
Oh my gosh. But we're in the land of the free.
So being an American, it entitles you to what? A U.S. passport.
Sure.
Government service eligibility. You can get Medicaid if you qualify for it. You can get Social Security and voting. And that's pretty much the list. That's all you're entitled to for being an American. Definitely not land of the free. I don't even know what she was freely trying to do.
Land of the free and to do whatever you want is I think Angela's interpretation of everything. Yeah. Because she definitely lives her life that way.
Sure, definitely.
So my life lesson really is from Brandon and Julia. So I thought it was very odd that they were really trying to trick Ron and Betty into admitting that this was a good choice. And that was their plan, right? They were just okay, we're going to not tell them that this is our place. And they're going to be like, yeah, this place is great. And we'd be like, oh, I'm glad you thought that. We signed a lease. But it completely backfired on them. So trying to trick someone into thinking that something is their idea or saying something is a great idea will almost always backfire.
Well, this one was very predictable. Yeah. Somebody who doesn't want you to move out is not going to say any apartment is good enough.
Yeah, so it's just be upfront about your intentions and whatever if they don't agree with you. Because, who cares if they disagree? Why were they even so concerned in the first place about
Right.
doing this
'Cause
weird game.
Because you know when you're not going to have any fights with him about moving out anymore.
When you're moved
Once
out.
you moved out,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
it's
yeah.
all done then.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. So, that was towards Brandon and Julia. It's like, grow up. Come on. You're finally out of the house. Let's act like adults now.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm excited to see hopefully some non-farm related things from them.
Oh, but that was the best part. What do you mean? You don't like the cute animals?
The cute animals.
You just have to feed the cute animals. Not a big deal.
Oh. All right. So we'll be back again next week. New episode next week, and
we will not be in the same room, so editing will be hopefully a little bit
bit better. It might sound a little better, right? We're not going to be able to edit this one very much.
We're anticipating it being a bit of a rough edit, so we apologize in advance.
Yes, of course. But we'll see everybody back here next week then.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
See you then.
Okay.
Bye.